Kia ora koutou, haere mai ngā Puna Wai Oto Tahi. Hello everyone and welcome to the Ngā Puna Wai Sports Complex here in beautiful Christchurch, Aotearoa, New Zealand. My name is Kelsey Bielik.
And I'm Richard Harris, and you join us for the Division 2 men's final. Just starting us off by OAF.
So we're here, the 2023 New Zealand Ultimate Championships, as we just heard now from Richard, Division 2 men's final, a matchup between Wellington Wildkitchens. They're in white on the left of your screen. On offense right now, Cars launches it deep to Hoban, streaking into that deep space, and what a receiver he is.
What a deep cut. Worked out perfectly. Saw the option, ran the cut for about 40 meters, easy reception.
Meanwhile, we have OaF. Now they're on the left side of the screen. They're in dark green, hailing from Otago. OaF as a fun acronym, Otago and Friends.
And Otago looking to win their first ever bit of silverware at the Ultimate Championships. They've been competing for several years, but never won anything, so it'll be good to see them perform really well today.
I'm really excited to see this matchup. I was lucky enough earlier to see OaF compete and earlier pool play yesterday. They've got such a depth of talent on the team. Some real wild cards, as well as experience representing Aotearoa, New Zealand at the highest levels on the world stage. Some great movement across the team, as well as huge athletic plays. Meanwhile, Wildkitchens, also they're captained by Peter Hoban, who is no stranger to competing at the highest levels. As previously, he's supporting the club. He's been involved with the Wildcats as a club for a while now, and really looking at bringing up the young talent, cultivating, supporting the team. He's the one who just scored the point there. Yeah, so we've got a lot of experience as well, a lot of depth on this team as well.
It's a good pull to kick us off. As I've looked to quickly move it through the hands out of the end zone.
We're seeing a junk defense here. That is person on the handlers.
Rory Liston there.
With a slightly loose, saggy person on the handlers with this formation downfield, a zone formation. However, difficult to defend when over the top. We're seeing creative throws like that. McCavitt with the D. And it looks like Scott, he's such an experienced player. He's used to getting those discs, but this is what we're looking forward to seeing in the final, those contested throws. He's such a strong player, used to getting those. He considered it potentially with the contact as a foul, retracted that, and I have a lot of respect for taking that moment of consideration. Ultimate, of course, as a self-refereed sport. Important to consider, if something happened and you can always retract it, but he didn't call anything, just saying simply no call.
There's a nice run there by Elliot Mance, just playing that little 1-2 handling position there with Clark.
And great to see players like Mance coming up. As I was saying, cultivating young talent, really nurturing in the community. Mance is an example of that. Up and coming young player. Looks like he was protecting himself from the pick there, knowing that he'd set himself up for a pick unintentionally. Ultimate Frisbee, of course, is a non-contact sport. It's important to avoid contact, and when there is contact or the potential for contact, good to call that.
And Clark now looking downfield, chooses to dump off the Mance there. Just looking to break open the Otago defense, going out to the flanks in order to do it. And Mance looking for the deep shot.
Outside in forehands.
Sean Gardner there with a great take, great cut. Take to a 2-0 lead there for Wildkitchens.
Wildkitchens, an interesting play on the team's previous name, Wildkittens. Of course, that in itself a play on the club team name, Wildcats. So oftentimes it's the feeder team to the Wildcats. Wildkittens indicating, that there's growth, that there's potential, a lot of potential there as the team comes together. Wildkitchens merely as a playoff of that. I'm not sure of the meaning behind Kitchens as a name, but fun nonetheless.
They've got an excellent chant, I'll give them that. There's a lot of Gordon Ramsay references in there.
We've got OaF coming out on offense, another offensive point for the team, knowing that if they let the lead sneak away, if they allow a few more of the points, it could be so much more difficult for them to earn them back as the game goes on. This is a time also for Wildcats, meanwhile, to continue with that momentum, to keep the hammer coming down, to generate those turnovers on defense, and convert into the points that they're looking for. We see Scott to Shimon, back to Scott, into the trusty hands of Benter Lynch on the wing. What a strong handler set this is. And great to see Otago also really coming up as a club. Competing here at Division 2, but one thing I've been so excited about across Opens and Women's Divisions here at this Ultimate Championships is seeing clubs that previously haven't been quite as represented here, or not quite competing at this level. So excited to see Otago in the finals here, with the strength, you know, showing what's happening in their community outside of the powerhouses that we've seen in the past, Christchurch, Wellington, and Auckland.
They've done an excellent job to get into that. I think they've won almost all of their games. Benter Lynch now trying to look in for a score. It's just going to work it around.
What give and go.
Play.
I love that. We saw Yo with his hands up. He was celebrating that point. He knew it was going to be seen easily into Benter Lynch's hands before he raised his hand up, indicating that it was a point.
A lovely little 1-2 play from Scott to Benter Lynch. Benter Lynch just knew where he was going to run, had a quick turn to get there, as we see the replay now. Benter Lynch takes a disc, looks around for an option, almost a set play style to Scott, and then turn around.
Oh, and what agility there. Just an ankle breaking cut, turning on a dime to make that strike cut. Great point to Benter Lynch. Otago now on defense once again. They've got their first points on the board, making the score 2-1 for Wildkitchens. Otago coming out on defense, and I love to see that quick give-go, the fluidity, the speed of that movement. I also wanted to acknowledge that point, the props to the downfield, really clearing that space for the handlers to make that movement that shows discipline, it shows spatial awareness, and sometimes, honestly, it can be a bit boring clearing that space, but also acknowledging it's a team point, it's a team sport, and when you're trusting that handler movement, or you're trusting your teammates to make that play, giving that space can be critical. Hot closing speed. We've got chasing the disc down from OaF. Of course, when the pull comes downfield, you
throw by Clark.
We'll see that one more time. So a bit of disagreement now. Whitaker really gaining positioning with his body, but of course Ultimate Frisbee is a non-contact sport. It comes down to every individual and every matchup. Sometimes if you're giving that bodying, if you are getting a bit physical, if it's being delivered right back at you, you're kind of on the same page, and maybe you can even have a chat on the sideline about it. You know, all sports like this, football's another prime example. It's a non-contact sport where being physical and bodying up is a part of the sport. So here, bumping just going a bit too far for Hoban. And it looks like the call's been retracted. Another great example, this time from Wildcats, of making a call. You know, he called what had happened, what he thought, gave time to discussion, time to consider it, and then retracting it. A great example of spirit of the game.
Whitaker in defense was just looking to get front position, ideally, in order to try and affect the block. There's Graydon Scott now.
What a launch from Scott.
Take.
And he's got another point on the field. Thomas Chappell. And in the very beginning, what I love to see, the energy he's bringing to his team right now. He was the first one down the field off the pull, the first one down on defense. The turn is generated by Whitaker, and then Chappell streaking into the end zone. It seems that this man's energy and his speed cannot be contained. Something for Wildkitchens to note for the next few points moving ahead. A player to keep an eye on.
OaF gaining an excellent share of the momentum back after their reasonable start. They made a good effort to begin with, but 2-2. We're locked up once again.
Also a nod to Scott's huck there. That was almost a full field huck to his teammate. What poise, what power in that throwing ability.
And Thomas Chappell just making sure he was in the end zone when he took that catch. He would have had options streaking past him to take a quick dump off immediately after for the score, but it's always best if you can secure a point to just secure it then and there.
Scott launching the disc downfield, and it fades out of bounds. Now, we comment on conditions here. The sun is out. Sun's out, guns out. We're seeing players in their short sleeve shirts, and temperatures are really nice. There is a little bit of a cool breeze. It picked up a bit more in the previous game we were watching on this field, the women's Div 2 semifinals. In this game, we'll see if the wind has more of a say, if it impacts any of the play a bit more. For the moment, though, potentially just when the disc goes high in the air, pushing the disc out of bounds. Clark seeing Hoban under for a slashing cut across the field. Hoban fakes deep, finds Clark again. Love this give and go movement. Clark looking for it again, but Hoban holstering. Oh, over the top pop pass. Clark and Hoban. Finding Leishman. And Hoban seems every other go. He's a bit of a linchpin with the team right now, making things happen.
Through the disc, ran straight down the field and sort of cut back to his left in order to get that catch. It's great movement.
And this is a great example of how to be a good Frisbee player. Noting that once you release the disc, it's not a moment to sit back and see where it goes, to sit back and take a bit of a break. Hoban is all over the field right now. He is from the handling space into that end zone space, seeing where the territory is, the danger space, and taking that up. Just a note, it's a great example of when you're playing Ultimate Frisbee. If you want to be playing at the best level, at the best you can, there's never a moment for a breather. If you want to score the point, if you want to win the game, you're going to be running, hustling, finding that dangerous space, working with your team to make things happen.
And one of the things we keep seeing from Wildkitchens is every time they get a disc, they're looking downfield at their various options for the first half of the stall count before looking for a dump off. So they're clearly looking to move the disc intensely forward with a downfield huck. So Hoban launches it into the daylight. Liston now.
Payne is the center there.
Over to Shimon. Back to Payne. Over to Liston.
And we're hearing counting from the sideline from the Wildkitchens. To me, this indicates they're running this junky zone, and they might be running it for the first few counts, the first few stall counts. They've counted to 10 throws now. Looks like there's a contested up call. Oh, sorry. McCavitt here calling the disc down and explaining what he saw. Now, counting the number of throws before they dissolve into person defense. Richard, why would they do this?
Well, honestly, pressure, in my opinion. I think whilst there is a great scenario where you can switch out immediately, simply yelling out the amount of disc and just apply a little bit of thought process that maybe you aren't moving that disc far enough down the field. Maybe you're not getting that much gain of territory. Maybe you're just holding it on for a little bit too long.
Another thing, it might be strategically giving the Wildkitchens a chance after a certain number of swings, a certain number of throws, to intentionally convert to person defense. The disc goes up. Hoban rushing to reclaim ground, and it looks like there's a call. Middleton took to the skies.
A deep shot from Harrison Free there.
And there's a stoppage of play.
So we look at the replay.
What an inside-out ripper of a backhand.
Heavy collision in the air.
That is a point. And good to see Hoban walking off the field after that, though, that he's not injured. A bit of knocking around, a bit of bumping, but still both players in good health. Anyway, we'll see if we see more of that junk, counting the number of passes and potentially transitioning to person defense after that. As Richard was just saying, putting pressure on the throws, putting pressure on the initiation, but then switching up the defense quickly, especially when the team is adept. They're ready to switch to person defense. They've got in their minds that quick transition can just add extra pressure. You're switching up the type of offense that the other team needs to play. They need to get creative, and sometimes making that switch can be a bit challenging for the other team. That's challenging OaF to find the options to respond in different ways over the course of a possession.
One of the keys is, though, you need to keep switching the amount of throws that you call that switch on. Because if you do it every 10, the opposition's going to know what's going to happen on offense. They're going to be able to adjust to it.
Scott with hand in the air indicating that he's ready, launching the disc downfield. And what a game we are seeing thus far. Both teams at 3 points. The score is 3-all. Clark at the middle of the field.
Across to Gardner, who goes deep. But Grant Scott cuts it off.
Easily cleaning that up. Frisbee player, part-time. Janitor, part-time.
Doing part-time. Benta Lynch back in the Scott. Goes forward. Looking for Shimon. He's got the disc. Oh, Yo with a bit of an ankle breaker cut downfield. Just finds Scott. Goes back to Shimon.
And
oh,
he
what a cut.
gets there. Turns on the Jets. No need for a layout when you're that fast.
Oh.
What a defensive play. Gardner comes out of nowhere, accelerates through that disc to knock it out of the sky. It's a turnover.
Great series of 1-2s there between Shimon and Scott. He's going backwards and forwards. You see the replay. Oh, it's a great pressure. Number 7, Sean Gardner there, getting up, affecting the defense.
We've got Leishman with the disc on offense for Wildkitchens. Engaging the swing, engaging Clark, finding him with a beautiful inside-out backhand. And Clark, a player with a wealth of experience playing internationally, previously played in the States with San Diego.
Oh, Shimon with a layout.
He was hungry for that Callahan. Now, had he caught that layout, had he caught that play, that would have been a defensive point. That's a point that when your team is on defense, if you catch it in the end zone, it still counts as a point. The coveted Callahan.
Always memorable to get those on film.
But really great to see that energy. That's what we want to be seeing in the finals. We want to see attempted Callahan energy, players not willing to give it up. The classic give-go. Again.
Remember that from earlier? A little bit of change of direction from Benta Lynch.
Deja vu. I have a feeling, Richard, we're going to be seeing more of that today. What a dynamic duo and what a threatening combination.
4-3 now to OaF. Really working back into this game and doing an excellent job of it.
High fives across that team. OaF that's been training together, growing together as a club.
That change of direction. More aware of it this time, Wildkitchens. Buckenberg saw it coming.
And
Just wasn't able to anticipate it that quickly.
I love to see the whole team celebrating that score. High fives all around. You know, they say that that teams that touch each other do better. That when you give each other high fives, the pats on the back, that cultivates trust, it cultivates connection, which is really what you need on the field to be successfully completing those passes, creating space for your teammates, and then dominating running into that space to tear the disc down, as Benta Lynch did to score the point. Scott with a disc once more. Looks like they're matching up on defense. Now, in a high-stakes game such as this, for the silverware, you want to be making intelligent matchups. You're looking at your opponents on the other side of the field, and you're assessing what they're good at. What do they do? Do they handle? Do they cut? Are they good in the air? and then putting your defense, matching your defense in a similar way. You want to put your speedier players on the speedier players. You want to put the ones who know how to shut down the agility, the quick cuts, who are good at reading shoulders, reading hips, potentially on the handlers. You want your big marks stopping the breaks. So that's something that OaF is taking into account, that they're taking into mind when they're matching up on defense there. We'll see if it works for them. Wildkitchens with a beautifully spaced stack, avoiding any picks, setting up. Clark with a disc, finding the break look.
Sam Cooper there looking for an option inside. Chooses to go back to Clark with a nice swing. Oh, just out of the range of Peter Hoban.
He takes to the skies, doesn't he? Trying to reel it in, but it is too far for his wingspan of a Haast eagle.
Just that wind gusting up. Happens always at the worst possible time. It's Graydon Scott to bring it back in.
Beautiful throws. I love seeing them come out. They're like butter. The sharp touch on them. It's getting a bit gusty. We're holding down the sheets in front of us, but you can't tell from the throws we're seeing put up. Intense defensive pressure. It doesn't seem to phase the offense right now. Shimon looking to convert. He's on the line. Maybe we give and go.
Back to Graydon Scott to recenter.
Lily working with Scott.
Oh.
Too far, Hoban with a bit of clairvoyance. Looking for Clark deep. Scott contesting it. Will it stay in bounds? The wind pushes it just too far.
Oh,
Clark
it all the way back.
is such a dynamic player there. We've seen him back in the handler space. He's throwing the unders, the swings. He's got the deep hooks as well, and Arsenal's back pocket. But looking, I love to see when handlers are looking for that deep option. Really a testament showing the defense that if they make a cut-up line, if they're cutting into the deep space, you need to respect it because they could just as easily be scoring the points as they can be assisting. East still picking up. McKevitt on the mark.
Pierre Lilly was making several good cuts getting on the disc last time. We'll see what he can do this time.
Ooh, ankle-breaking cuts.
17 Whitaker, back to Scott, back to Whitaker.
Whitaker hungry for the strike.
Oh.
The hammer goes up.
Oh, what a take.
Reeled in. I love that matchup, Gardner versus Scott there. We saw Scott with some ankle-breaking cuts, but Gardner's such an agile and quick player in his own right. I normally say, whoever's marking Scott, potentially invest in ankle insurance, but Gardner with his own agility just to match. What a great matchup. I'm taken away also from the score we just saw. What a hammer. I wasn't sure who was that was going to, but...
Matthias Ogard just got himself in the right position to take it. I don't think it was intended for him initially, but he just cut across down the back, corralled it.
What a catch. He made it look easy. And this is something that you're training in all the practices as well. When you're running the drills with your teammates, you're looking, of course, to catch the disc that was thrown to you. But as teammates, having heads up, being disc aware, if your teammate does miss the disc, if the wind maybe gusted a bit too far, having that heads up, that awareness to be able to clean up. I think I was calling Scott a janitor before, the cleaning man on the field. Cleaning up those throws can be all you need to score a point. Just having that heads up, that disc awareness at all times. Hoban, Clark, back to Hoban. Disc goes up, inside shot.
Leishman there. Good take over Rodriguez. Back out to Mance. Short pass to Clark.
Interestingly, we've got OaF throwing a force middle here. And a force middle can be effective in a variety of ways. It's not a zone. However, it is taking away a lot of the deep options.
Oh,
Look at that celebration. Yeah, that
Great
energy,
pressure.
that power. Hand block from Yo on the mark. Again, a force middle stopping a lot of the downfield continuations makes it really difficult as a cutter to read where the disc is going to go. It was effective there, or maybe it wasn't. It was just Yo's tenacious mark. OaF on offense.
It's a case of the Deep throw. Couldn't get there, Shimon. It's a good effort in the end.
Definitely good effort. Him showing, I mean, he was chasing down the disc before we saw it in the end zone. He was hungry for the Callahan. I really respect here that while that disc was going far, a lot of the players were just standing waiting. They thought it was going to turn over. But he was just, you know, expecting if there is a gust of wind, he's going to be there, not giving up.
Hoban with a great take there. Moves it back in.
Diath to Clark. And Hearn, an experienced player on the team, so much agility. Back to Clark, towing it inbounds. Outside in forehand to Hoban. Pops it up and catches it.
Yo going down. It was a tough matchup for him to start with. But he might have just gone stepped on in that catch.
Players are waiting, just respecting that space, respecting if there might be a call. But great spirit on both sides. And that's a point for Wildcats.
Wildkitchens now to 4.
Pardon me.
It's tough to remember. Too many similar names.
Similar names, also confused by their jerseys. Wearing the club team jerseys that say Wildcats. Intentionally probably just trying to get me confused. Wildkitchens, thank you. Now Clark, what a throw that he launched there. That cross field, open side, outside and forehand. When you have a receiver like Hoban, though, I mentioned, compared him to a Haast Eagle before. He can take to the skies. Haast Eagle, of course, a now extinct bird of prey in New Zealand with a massive wingspan. Used to prey on the moa, very similar to those of you who may have seen The Lord of the Rings, to the eagles in The Lord of the Rings. But Hoban just taking to the skies. And, you know, when you have such a large receiver, of course, with the wingspan, but also with his ability to jump into space, to dive into space. It's a really wide net to throw into, and Clark recognizing Hoban as a deep threat and just giving him the opportunity, throwing it into space, giving Hoban the opportunity to capitalize on his athleticism to reel it in. Great movement from OaF.
Oh, good take. Free under a bit of contact when he caught that. Looks back to Liston. He's worked well with Eastal, who'll go back to free. These three handlers have worked well so far on this point.
And interestingly, before we were seeing person mark on the handlers with a junk downfield, now we're seeing that person turn into a three-person cup. Three-person cup adding pressure on the thrower. Whoa. What a snaking inside pass. I'm loving this movement, the way OaF is responding offensively. I'm loving the energy they're bringing, showing that while the zone may be taking away options, you know, it's hard to see with the flowy, beautiful movement, these quick throws, the stall. You know, it's such a low count before the disc is released again.
Scott.
Break look. Oh. Scott loving the break side of the field.
Hits up Sam Middleton. Absolute dime.
Important for, as I mentioned before, Wildcats to recognize that Scott is really punishing the break side. And if marks are giving him that option, if they're giving him the break side of the field, then he's going to punish that. He's going to take that, making things so much more difficult for the downfield Wildkitchens defense, who are, of course, set up on the open side and out of position for a break side catch, break side point, such as that.
We've got a timeout called here.
Well done, of course, to Middleton for recognizing that, recognizing what Scott's looking for, just easily stepping wide into position, making ultimate Frisbee look like the easiest sport. It's not, folks. They've done a lot of training. Now, Richard, Wildkitchens, you know, they're grinding, they're working hard out there, but OaF in the meantime has scored a few points in a row. If you were team captain Peter Hoban right now, we can see the Wildkitchens right there. What are you saying to the team? What are you considering?
I'm cheating a bit because I can hear a bit of what he's saying anyways. He's talking about largely getting throw choices correct. There's been a couple of sloppy hammers he was pointing out from before. We're also talking about getting that transition D right.
Transition D really important, and something that actually seeing the zone with the points they've been counting, something that I would expect that they're quite good at. We're getting a view of the fans here. we're getting a view of the fans from the other team waving hello. Here supporting, it looks like Wildcats, players from the Wellington region who've been working hard. They've got a bye, it looks like, at the moment, and here to provide energy on the sideline, helping to uplift this club team, this Wellington club team, give them energy from the sideline and support teammates.
Sure, Gunner getting your love there.
And we have Rodriguez as well showing us a note on the side of his arm. Oh, it's his Brazilian team. So we've got a wealth of diversity. I was mentioning Clark, of course, playing with the Wildkitchens, has background playing in San Diego, in California in the States. And OaF, similarly, Rodriguez representing Brazil. We've got diversity across this team as well. As I was mentioning, energy from the sideline. And these Wahine Toa, these strong women, players in the women's division, they know how to sideline for their own teams. They know that sideline can be the difference maker in a game, bringing the energy, trying to bring that for the opens division, for their male counterparts out here as well. The hawk goes up from Scott. Clark.
Leishman providing a good option there. Back into Hoban.
Wildkitchens in a vertical stack right now. Sounds like OaF talking from the sideline about where they want the mark to be. I was mentioning previously the force middle. And force middle, of course, looking to take away Huck options. The pace just a bit too fast for Wildkitchens to keep up with there. We can see OaF player in the middle of the field feeling that energy too. Ogard pushing down with his hands, trying to say, slow down, guys. Let's bring our energy here. Let's not rush things, force things that aren't there. Ogard now looking for that undercut. There's separation, but handlers instead looking for the swings. More deep options, but OaF playing cleanly. Just finding the open players around the disc. Not taking risk. Some switching on the handler marks. And OaF just again cleanly finding the open players. A lot of the quick movement undercuts. Really good to see deep options there. But OaF not afraid to take the easiest option. And I am such a big fan. I think personally this is my favorite type of Frisbee to watch. I really love the quick movements. It's so hard to defend against.
What?
As we can see, case in point, when your player catches the disc and releases it, before they take the next step, how can you establish yourself, get into position before, you're thinking about starting a stall count? It's so difficult, even as a matchup, playing person defense to try to defend. And OaF doing such a good job of just moving it quickly and scoring that point.
And shout out to Scott Yeo and Benta Lynch there, who worked brilliantly in that little three. Just going between one another, disc to disc to disc, waiting for that little break from the siders. I believe, is that Hogada or Whitaker? No, it's neither.
It's Chappell again, and we saw him with the energy in the last point. He seems to be a bit of a stats master, racking up points for the team. Also getting down there on defense. Chappell bringing so much of the energy down as a strong downfield receiver. Now, a big shout out if you like what you see, if you like watching live streams Ultimate Frisbee, if you're watching anywhere else in the world, watching this live or domestically, shout out to everyone who's on the live stream following this game right now. Big thank you to ULTI.TV, to the people behind the scenes making this all happen. And if you want to toss any spare pocket change their way, they'd appreciate the thank you. Hawk goes up. McCavitt reads the heck out of that disc. He's got jets underneath him, that man. He's got wheels for legs, using them, and they all help But more than that, he is incredibly literate. He's got a library card and he loves to read. Reading that disc, getting the body positioning, and seeing it into his hands. What a beautiful point for Wildkitchens. Just the body positioning beneath that huck the entire way, seeing it safely down into his hands. Such a good catch. Now, I was saying if you're appreciating the live stream, if you want to toss any spare pocket change their way, or a bit more if you're feeling generous, big thank you to ULTI.TV. Head over to their Patreon, patreon.com/ULTI.TV, and we appreciate the support.
As we've got a taco disc. Reason for the delay. 7-5 OAF. Probably wanted to keep the taco disc out just so they could press the advantage. No. Needs a replacement. It's got to come.
Preference for an ULTI star. Disc on the field. Hoban setting up to take the pull.
Getting one of his, quote, nice discs.
You can't have one that's too scratched up. It's got to be pretty. This is the finals. So we've got OaF coming out on offense. Wildkitchens, after a fantastic deep huck, looking to come out on defense. We'll see if they're setting their similar junky zone. I've been really enjoying watching the handlers punish that. Or if they come out and person defense. This is match defense.
It's a good run there by Benta Lynch. Finds Easteel on the inside.
Oh, what great quick movement. The kind of Frisbee I like to see.
Sam Milton looking for an option, finds an Easteel again.
Easteel launches it deep, looking for Scott. And
What
Scott,
a take.
You know, one thing I really liked about that point there, as he dunks it through the goalpost, is that an extra point? Not
in this sport,
Frisbee.
unfortunately.
He does catch it in the end zone, though, so one more point on the board for OaF. I wanted to comment on Scott's cut there, and yes, doing a great job covering him on the open side, but an ankle-breaking cut, the kind that we're seeing is Scott's calling card here. He cuts under, and then on a turn of a dime, makes that deep look. I think it was Easteel who released it. Seeing him come under, ready no doubt for that under look. But again, Scott turning on a dime and running deep, making it so difficult for Diaz to follow him. Great setup on the open side. We see him chasing it down. And Smith on defense looking to recover his last back, looking to cover that open player. Moving it so fast. They're not sitting with the disc. That's tough. You should see the other guy. Yeah. Let's even it up. You were looking at the end zone here. I mean, I came here. Mid post and then like you were like you're all good. You're all good. It's a like Kia ora koutou, and welcome back to the finals Division 2 match between Wellington Wildkitchens with a fantastic D there, and Otago Dunedin's OaF.
Sean Gardner out of nowhere. What a follow-up of the pull.
Fantastic D, bringing the energy to echo the cheer, the juice, the fire, the hot desire on defense. And now he's looking for bookends. Can he get it? He does!
What a start to the second half.
Jumps into his team, and I think he really took that cheer to heart. What was the team cheering beforehand? The Wildkitchens?
So, reference to line chefs in the kitchen. I want some beef. Yes, chef. I want some gravy. Yes, chef. I want some carrots. Yes, chef. Put it in a pressure cooker. Yes, chef.
And then they boomed together. Did a little bit of cooking. Gardner coming out of the kitchen hot.
Applauds to Wildkitchens though, because one of the things that OaF was doing in the first half especially was they were taking 2 or 3 quick and easy throws because the pressure just wasn't getting down there off the pull. They've come out in the second half and they've immediately corrected that, and they've come away with the score because of it.
Coming out with the same energy that we've seen OaF. We've seen players like Benter Lynch, Middleton, Scott, Yo, Shimon, throwing on the field. We've seen them coming out with this explosive energy. Wildkitchens immediately, whatever they said during that halftime speech, it's coming out and we're seeing it in play. High fives, energy on the sideline. No doubt Wildkitchens will be vibing, they'll be buzzing off of that energy as they come out on defense.
Someone check the halftime oranges. As Hoban launches it down.
Up to OaF now to respond.
Liston and Shimon working well with Harrison Free in that handling threat they've done consistently when they've been on the field together. Graydon Scott
looking to Payne, going over the top, finding Free. Is he ever covered? Looking for Whitaker. The disc is high in the air. And double coverage from Wildkitchens means it's a turnover.
Hoban now going deep, looking for Buckenberg. Pick called, unfortunately, but
Clark is
it's a great take.
Swing, yeah. As Clark, if that deep puck doesn't convert, on the off chance it's not a point, it's Clark, as Clark, I would be feeling a little bit left out to dry as an open swing look. Hoban nonetheless capitalizing on what he thought was a free option. We'll see what happens from the player conversation from that pick. Of course, ultimate Frisbee, self-refereed sport. It's up to the players on the field to determine what they want the outcome of the call to be, how they want the play to go. The disc comes back.
Our sideline supporters eagerly watching the replays from our TVs hooked up next to us, determining their own opinions.
We can see Gardner there on the sideline echoing the call. And now the conversation on the field. Scott has joined in the conversation. Players commenting on the field what they saw. It's a question for those at home, a quick game of was it a travel or wasn't it? What do you think? What do you think? Disc goes back to Hoban. Stahl coming in and finding, as I mentioned, that open swing option, such a safe option. Hot closing speed, making that undercut less viable. Finding Hoban again. Hoban fires again.
Same connection.
This time looking for, Buckenberg downfield.
Callan Shimon making a valiant attempt to follow, but just doesn't apply enough pressure.
As we heard from the cheer, he's the head chef in the kitchen. He's making it known in the end zone.
Serving up Buckenburgers all day long. I can only apologize for that one.
They are saucy, they are spicy, and he's serving them up hot. What a point to Wildcats. Sorry, Kitchens.
They've come out strong in the second half. 2 straight points.
They have, and you know, strategically when you're coming into the second half, regardless of the score, regardless of whether you're up, whether you're behind by a few points, it's important to come into the second half thinking that the game, considering that it's 0-0, the reason is, if you're down a few points, it allows you to consider that the score is the same and you're still fighting. You still, have the potential for winning, for taking the game back. Meanwhile, if you're in the lead, it's important to remember that you can't let your foot off of the gas pedal. That once you ease things up, the other team could still come out of nowhere, jump on that comeback train, and take it away. So it's up to OaF now to respond to the powerful energy we've seen from Wildkitchens on the field. The score 8-7 as Wildkitchens chip away at what was previously a larger lead. Shimon.
I got an E still. Going for an option downfield.
So interestingly, we've got that same junk. There's a junk downfield. Clark is as mid. He's stopping those undercuts. We'll see the solution here is to flood that space. 2 cuts under. Yo recognizes and comes back. Oh!
There's some miscommunication there. Shimon thought Eastle was going one way and it went the other.
Hate to see that. Beautiful scuba coming off into the end zone. And what a point for Brendan Smith.
Wildkitchens leveling it up at 8 apiece.
We've seen some fantastic energy in the first half. I loved those quick movements from the offense. I loved the energy that Thomas Chappell was bringing both on defense and on offense, really kind of carrying that energy with the team. Those quick movements between handlers, so difficult for the defense to find the gaps between Benter Lynch, Scott, Shimon, as they move the disc so quickly. But here, it seems that due to a bit of miscommunication, maybe settling into things, getting a bit too comfortable, OaF really need to take that energy back.
Or at least break the momentum, which is probably why they've called this timeout that we're currently seeing.
That is a good shout. That's a good idea. Breaking the momentum, as we've discussed before. Great way to reassess what you're doing as a team, to discuss what you want to do on offense. Looks like OaF might be calling a strong line of offense to try to break that momentum, but also, of course, another way to just throw the wrench in the cog. Throw a wrench in the momentum, screw up the motor.
As we look back there, Sean Gardner's amazing takeaway to start off this half, which in many ways changed the entire momentum of the game.
Set the tone, really set the tone. And it's such a valuable play. It's such a valuable, way to bring the momentum, to carry the team on your shoulders. When one player on the team, comes out firing, that's exactly why I've been so stoked on Thomas Chappell's energy as well on OaF. Just coming out firing, bringing the energy, it's such a way to carry the team with you, and you can really stir up the fire, stoke the fire, whether you're making burgers or like OaF, just try to carry the team as well. It's such a powerful way to get things going. Exciting to see what OaF has in store for us at this point. I'm hoping to see some of that classic quick-moving offense, the kind that I get really stoked about. They might be also coming out into pole play, something that they have drilled and ready for when they need to score a quick point. Wildkitchens, of course, trying to shut that down as best they can, putting pressure on every offensive pass that they can, making it as difficult as possible for OaF to continue with that quick flowing movement, which they are doing in the form of another junk.
He's still with a dangerous pass.
Gardner.
He's everywhere on defense.
Similarly down the field, Shimon, the way he was chasing down that disc on defense, looking for the Callahan. Gardner, no doubt, seeing that, stoked on that, but also seeing that potentially as a missed opportunity where he could have scored a point. The man is fire, and there's no water in sight. Clark to pick up. Looks like both Hoban and Gardner as potential options for isolation cuts. Scott as an incredible defensive matchup. I'm here for that matchup. Swing to Hoban. Hoban looking for options. Fires open side. McKevitt with the point.
It's gone away from his match opponent. Sneaking into the end zone.
This brings Wildkitchens into the lead.
They've done an amazing job.
For the first time since the beginning of the game, they're back at it. Score 9-8.
They've almost doubled their score from halftime in a matter of minutes.
That is resilience right there. They've jumped on the comeback train, and how can OaF stop this momentum? So impressive when a team does this. When they're down, it shows mental strength, poise, it shows experience, the knowledge that no matter where you are, you can control the controllables, you can control what you do, and what you can do is throw and catch, make the plays, do what's needed to bring the score back. Showing that regardless of what the other team is doing, the game is still theirs to play. If you're curious, the women's finals for Div 1 is happening on the other field. Currently the score is 10-4. Blueberries hailing from Auckland versus Ellipsis from Australia. Ellipsis now with 11 points to Blueberries 4. However, back to this game. We've got Wildkitchens now coming out one more time on defense. OaF seeing what they can do to crack through the chips in this junk.
Shipman and Scott get us on the way. Scott looking for an option.
Interestingly, two handlers right now in the backfield. Lily drops back to help out and finds the open swing. Good thing he's there, providing a bit more support in the backfield. He fires it through, trying to find Scott maybe, unclear of the receiver there, giving Kitchens another chance on offense. Hoban with the disc. Diath makes a deep cut. Hearn coming around for the swing, finds it. That man, his agility is everything. Launches it back to Hoban, who takes to the sky to catch it. Finding Gardner under. And what pressure. There was definitely contact there.
I think the most contact was probably between Shimon and Rodriguez as they were both going for the defense.
Great to see that pressure.
Oh, that was a hand block there. Brad Scott trying to go over the top of the hammer.
Hoban breaking the mark, finding McKevitt on the break side. Inside out throw for McKevitt, finding Hearn.
Ooh, what's the call?
Gardner and Shimon. Gardner showing some great agility. This is a game, again, for those at home. Was he in or was he out? What do you think, folks?
This is Hearn. That's tied.
And you can hear the players crowded around the screen in the commentator booth, trying to get a view of their own, and the claps from the Wellington players as they agree he was indeed in bounds. That's another point for Wildkitchens on the board. That is, Gardner, he's a tenacious player in indoor. He's fearsome in indoor, and that I think is some indoor ultimate Frisbee movement right there. Towing in the line, of course, an ultimate indoors when there's not a lot of space to move with, and a basketball court, it's so much smaller, which is what we play on here in Aotearoa, New Zealand for indoor ultimate. He's used to towing the line, using his agility, his quick footwork, and working within a small confined space. I'm pretty sure that training, that experience was what went into that point. We can see Wildkitchens pushing him back on the field. They know if he's firing, if he's on, he's the kind of player they want to see playing points and points again in this finals. The score now 10-8 to Wildkitchens. What a comeback they've had. Are they going to keep going? And how can OaF, once again, how can they throw the wrench into the machine to stop this momentum. You can positively feel the Wildkitchens line buzzing right now. Players ready to streak downfield. We've got Scott with the disc, centering to Eastil.
Benta Lynch looking for Yo down the line. Found him. Back inside. Eastil finds Scott. Scott back over to Benta Lynch. Looking downfield a bit.
And this is great chilly movement from the handlers. They're being a bit more intentional with their throws right now, a bit more intentional about the finds that they're making downfield. They're taking an extra second, which I really like to see. They're preventing those quick miscommunications, those overthrows. Looks like there's a stoppage on the field. They're being a bit more intentional, a bit more careful. They're conserving greatness. They're conserving the disc. At the same time, they're slowing things down. I was loving before seeing when they were playing at their best. I think their movement was so fast. I think right now, very safe to be doing what they're doing. Throw goes overhead to Yo. What a find. That's exactly what they needed. And Scott doesn't want to huck it deep. He wanted Chappell to come under. He said, come to me there.
They did such a great work in exposing that weakness of the zone through the middle. Over to Yo.
I think that throw from Yo was all they needed. I'm feeling a lot more energy from OaF right now. Throw goes up.
Just can't be corralled by Middleton.
So I was loving that handler movement, that midfield movement, those two deep options. And I hope Middleton's okay. Sam Middleton went up for that.
Might have come down the ankle from the looks of things.
Yeah, slight limp as he's walking off the field. Lily coming on as a substitution. And of course, Wildkitchens also get a chance to substitute, to cycle through, to add one player to the field if they need. I was saying there, we were seeing some incredible popping passes, some great handler movement, and it looked like there were those two deep options. They wanted deep looks, and that's what they're set up and waiting for. Meanwhile, Scott was communicating to his team. He wanted them under. They weren't providing a lot of continuation options, instead hoping for the deep look to come off, which I don't think those handlers wanted in that moment.
Too high for Mance. Ooh, and he goes down. No.
Chases the disc down. He's rolling on the ground. I'm hoping this isn't serious. He's holding his knee. Wildcats will get an injury sub.
Hopefully just a tweak, but thankfully we've got plenty of medical support here at Puna today. Going to help out with all sorts of tweaks and twinges. He's still now bring back in.
Hammer over the top. What a great catch from Whitaker. And a bit of give and go movement here with Yo as well. Oh, I like what I'm seeing. Safe swing, safe reset to Scott. Within reach of the end zone.
Scott and Benta Lynch. Oh, great take, great save.
What a good save there, keeping it alive. Right now we're just looking at these give and goes between these two handlers. We know it works. Maybe looking for deja vu, those upline cuts, the strike cuts. Yo coming out of the stack. Goes back to Benta Lynch. Yo on the ground. And there is a call. I am hoping, I'm guessing, a cramp at this point. Hopefully not another injury sub. Just a call, stoppage of play. Great to see that high five between Yo and Clark. Disc is live. Scott swinging to Benter Lynch. He's milking the disc. And Wildcats trying to stop down.
Scott.
Trying to end this momentum. These quick give and goes. The handler resets between Scott and Benter Lynch, which seem impossible to shut down. This quick movement that I was loving before. Oh. Scott seeing Gardner in that space, potentially not wanting to put it near that defender.
It's a great take.
Attacking
Excellent
the disc
take.
there, hitting it down. Great points to Lily.
He's been attacking the disc heavily all day. Hasn't come up with a lot of success necessarily from it, but some of the cuts he's been making downfield have been superb. This time he goes hard at the disc, grabs a hold on it, takes a heavy fall, but holds on throughout. And OaF gaining a point back, possibly changing the momentum of this game once again.
We'll see. Wildcats definitely, they were contesting every throw that OaF was putting up. They were making it look a lot more difficult for OaF offense to punch through, to find the open passes. Scott and Benter Lynch really working it between the two of them with the sharp cuts, the give and goes, to try to make things happen. Because again, it felt challenging. It felt a bit more forced.
I think it's also a case where Wildkitchens now understand, especially those two early points to Benter Lynch, that he's capable of very quick change of direction turns. And the sort of stuff that was working right at the start of the game probably won't work as well now that they're adapting to it.
At the same time, you know, I felt like there was a lot of trust, a lot of connection across the team as they were looking for those open options downfield. And maybe they can establish that again. If Wildkitchens can keep that momentum going, if they can keep that defensive pressure on, they'll continue to make that as difficult as possible for the team. But I would like to see, especially those continuation throws downfield, it looks like those recipients, those wings, they're hungry for the huck. I want to see them coming in and participating in those continuations a bit more. We've got Wildkitchens on offense for this point now.
Smith and Clark just working it out from back. Oh,
Ankle
pass.
biter cleaned up. There's a down call. Hoban
Up or down, ladies and gentlemen, up or down.
He's considering what happened. We're starting to get a crowd around the booth again as they want to watch the replay.
Even I want to watch this one.
What do you think at home? Another game.
It's a tight one.
Another disc tacoed. So the team will be finding one from the sideline to launch onto the field. Welcome to comments if you thought that was up or down. Should it be a turnover?
I do wonder if this is a second of Peter Hoban's nice discs. Oh, clearly not, as it comes straight back.
A bit of a break here. We're seeing the same match defense that OaF has been running. Right now, Yo last back with McKevitt, who is consistently a deep threat. Again, his speed, his hops in the air, his ability to read the disc have given him a few points in the end zone. But a nice clean stack from Wildkitchens. Great spirit from Peter Hoban, indicating that that's a turnover, and the disc was down.
He's still now trying to create something great in Scott.
Scott, I love that handler cut. Turns the shoulder looking for the around, and these two handlers, Eastel and Scott, have effectively spread the entire width of the field now, really using all the space they have. Shimon, back to Scott. Oh, he's milking the inside, he's looking for that. Turns to engage his dump, and Scott.
Ooh, collision on D.
Scott's agility. He was too fast for everyone on the field. That collision downfield happened because he turned too fast. The throw happened because he turned too fast. Everyone needs to step up to his level, it seems.
Leishman coming off now, being placed by Buckenberg. Callum Shimon just couldn't work out which way Graydon Scott was going. It was too fast for him. 1-2, 1-2.
dancing just with the pivot. I wonder if he's out here in his free time doing the salsa, maybe some ballet on the side. He's definitely got the agility of a dancer.
There's a very strong contact by Hoban and Leishman. Hoban's still out there, looking to lead his team forward.
You know, this is the type of match in the finals is when you do expect players to be pushing it all and laying it out on the line. That said, you never want to see injuries in the game of Ultimate. You never want to see injuries ever, so I do hope this is the last few that we'll be seeing.
And all of a sudden the wind has adapted just this little bit as we can feel it coming in from the left to the right of your screen.
Smith with a low release. We're seeing a few low release looks here, adapting to that wind. Hoban launches deep. Looking for living.
He's still great D.
He gets there.
Saw where the disc was coming, stayed right under it the entire time.
And you know, I was saying before that the energy, the quick movement on OaF, on OaF's offense is what's going to win the game for them, but also just as much that energy on defense, the type of energy that Eastil is bringing to the field.
Isaac Living did a great job making it a contest, as he's still now trying to work it out from the back. Grant Scott takes it beautifully.
Yo coming back to help out as well. Scott, with the hammer, and he catches it again. Of course, in Ultimate, you can't throw to yourself, but as it bounced off Hoban's hands, it wasn't a throw to himself. Can he get there? What an exciting possession.
Matthias Ogard almost with the perfect turnaround.
It was a laser, and with the wind picking up, it needed to be. In order to get where it was, so the wind wouldn't manipulate it, toss it out of bounds, but Ogard can't quite get up to the speed of the wind to chase it down.
Let's give Grant Scott another shout out for chasing down his own disc. That was amazing.
Clark with the disc. Shimon on the mark, finding Hoban on the break side. Hoban marked by Scott. Looking for the swing. Clark in the air, contested by Shimon. Clark brings it down. And he's looking for deep options. Coming for the clean under. Cooper. Back to Clark.
To Hoban. Looking for Buckenberg. Nope.
One more time in the deep space, off the hands. Diving catch from the Kevitt, but he cannot clean up what the grass has already claimed.
Isaac Living with a great cut there. Just had maybe slightly too heavy hands.
I love that cut from Yo. I love that plant and turn. What a fake. Great movement, and this is what I'd like to see from OaF. All the players here moving fast, making these great continuation cuts. Ogard looking for it deep again. Scott holstering. Looking instead for the swing. Safe swing to Eastil.
Harrison free now. Back to Eastil. Theo Missam making a cut downfield. Calm Shimon coming in.
Inside.
Ooh, too low.
Turfs it. Looks like Scott might be getting a bit.
Isaac Living looking to redeem himself downfield.
He's still chasing it down. That man is a workhorse at this point. He's running it for the team. I was just saying, Scott, he's been leaving it all out on the field. It looks like he's getting a bit tired. He's been putting his heart and soul into this game, running things. Waiting for handler initiated throws at this point. The throw goes up.
Matthias Ogard. Oh, good bid, doesn't get there. Challenging against Brendan Smith.
Yeah, great defense from Brendan Smith and way to keep it clean. I think OaF just, they need one of these points. They need someone to take it down. That's a really good call from Smith. Things are a bit spicy right now.
It's also probably been, I'd say, the longest point this game.
It has been. We can see both teams letting this two-day tournament kind of catch up with them. The endurance right now that all these athletes are leaving on the field. The energy that they're putting into this game. Whoever can bring out the most is going to be coming away with that gold medal. We've got some energy, some lollies on the sideline being passed around from the Wildkitchens. What do you think OaF, Richard, what do you think OaF is discussing? They had such a run towards the end of the first half of points. They've established themselves as competent throwers with some beautiful flowy movement. What are they trying to do now? What do you think?
You just have to reassess the way they attack. Those two handler sets have been working very, very well for them throughout the game. There was a period there right at the start where they just weren't connecting. The stack downfield has generally been pretty good, but some of the cuts have been a bit slow and taking too long. I'm sure Graydon will be mentioning earlier on we saw players were running downfield on a break. Graydon wanted them running towards him just to create that option and another connection before they went for a score. So there's lots of little things they could be chatting about. But I also think competitiveness on D is always something you raise in these situations. How to properly approach the likes of Isaac Living running downfield, creating contests down there.
And we've seen that they're capable of that. Yo on defense. We've seen Eastal, once again, Chapel, you know, hungry for what Wildkitchens are cooking up, hungry to generate the turnover. So we know they have that energy. It's a matter of digging deep and finding it because they need to be hungry for that D right now. After a well-deserved break, well-deserved timeout, to find the turnover, to get that point that they so dearly need.
Let's see what Wildkitchens can cook up now. Standing over the disc, Brandon Smith.
Of course, after a timeout, offense have the opportunity to set, and once they're set, they cannot move. From there, the defense find their player, they find who they're going to mark, and set up.
Graydon Scott and Peter Hoban has been an excellent matchup throughout this game.
Swing comes off, safe hands of Clark. Finding Smith again. Smith.
Buckenberg finding Hoban.
McKevitt looking deep. The disc goes up for him. Fading to the break side.
McKevitt versus Ogard there. Ogard coming away with the win.
And you know, McKevitt, he shakes his head. He's frustrated he didn't come down with that one. But you know, I have to say that was an incredibly difficult read. The reason being the disc was pushing that away from where it would have normally gone. The gust came up, pushing it to the break side. That third defender on the field just making it extra difficult to catch.
Gained about 15 kilometers an hour from a very calm start, so players are going to have to adapt.
Yo, fighting to get open. Great coverage. Oh, and cleaned up.
Theo missing there, taking a great attack.
Sam Cooper on Wildkitchens, really reading hips, reading body language, knowing where the disc is going to go. Disc on the break side of the field. Free looks it to Scott deep. Hoban closing in. Will it stay in bounds?
The wind just takes it at the end.
What a throw. I'm here for that chase.
What an effort.
I can't ask more of these players right now. They're leaving it all out, but could they do that again?
Possibly 6 or 7 times. Oh, it's a great effort from Graydon Scott. But I don't think he ever would have gotten his feet down, even if he got to it.
Such a phenomenal athlete. And such a great matchup with Hoban there as well. It's the reason we're here. To see the two top teams battling it out. Massive deep cut, but opting instead for the swing. Free contested, but now there's free movement. Give and goes.
Ooh, big contact on D.
Retracted. Scott on the mark. As we've seen before, I really like that OaF is bringing that energy on defense. They're coming out at the same time. When you overcommit to a decent defensive play that you don't get, you're getting yourself out of position, allowing the team to do things such as give and go down the field, allowing them to gain those easy yards and continue going until someone like Scott there stepped in the way. So sometimes...
Sam Cooper just can't corral it there.
Sometimes...
He's been making a lot of good cuts deep, but...
Can't corral. If you know you're not going to get it and allowing that to happen, you're in position to set the mark to avoid those give and goes. Leo Sorry, that's Durlio with some ankle-breaking cuts, but I'm loving Sam Cooper's defense. He's so good at reading hips, reading shoulders, so that all of those quick movements and jukes are not too much for him. We've got Isel with the disc. Scott pointing into space, running onto it.
Just giving OaF an opportunity to reset. Great take by Ogard.
Hoban on the mark.
Goes deep. 3-on-1
Who
here.
is there? Can they chase
Theo
it
missing.
down? Missing with the point, and what a point it is. He read that disc. He knew it was where it was going to go, and Theo Missin drags it down into his safe hands.
I can only assume you heard the loud tones of Jack Payne as he was running past to celebrate there. OaF bringing this game back. Momentum has been such a heavy factor in this game. We've gone from that massive advantage that OaF had in the second part of the first half into Wildkitchens going on a 5-0 run when we returned. Now OaF back to a 2-0 run, 10-all.
Richard, can we ask anything more out of this final? I mean, I know I asked for more deep looks, but a neck-and-neck game, both teams trading points, the energy they're bringing, the intensity. What a privilege to be commentating a tight game like this.
Absolutely. We're still 10 minutes to go to soft cap. Got a long way potentially to go now.
Game, of course, to 15 points. Who will get there first?
Indeed.
As I've mentioned before, and I'll stop talking so much about the energy, but at the end of the day, that's what's winning it. Energy, but also the ability to temper, to make those completed throws and catches, to trust your teammates. OaF coming out on defense.
Benta Lynch throwing the pull into the wind. Some decent yardage on it.
Great upwind pull, yeah. OaF talking about the force middle that we saw before.
Just a shout out there to Elliot Mance. Good to see him back on the field. We were worried for him earlier.
I was worried about his knee. So the force middle, now the force middle again, making deep hucks just a lot more difficult. But not so for Austin Clark. Oh, and a bit of contact on the throw. McKevitt is having none of it. I'm excited to see Joshua Wong on the field. He's had some fantastic defensive plays in the last few games that I've seen of him. Coming up there for one more. We'll see that again. Clark launching the forehand huck. To me, it looks like Wong had position. He was in the air. But it's up to the players on the field. What do you guys think? What would be your call in this situation? Again, it's a self-refereed game, so up to them to determine where the disc is going. Looks like it's retracted. Really great spirit from Sam McKevitt. And again, I think an important example of the importance in Ultimate Frisbee, if there was contact, or even if you're not sure about a play, it's okay to call a foul. It's okay to take a moment to just discuss what happened. And then really props to the ability of recognizing.
There's no doubt Sam McKevitt was thinking about a disc hitting his fingertips and what could have been as well.
A round throw.
What a take.
Bentley Lynch was just trying to give him a highlight reel bid there. Inside out to Shimon. The disc is up. Wong with the disc now. Finding Bentley Lynch. There's some wobbles on it. You can see that's a result of the wind.
Shimon now. Fake to Wong. Down to Bentley Lynch again.
Finding Shimon on the around. What a beautiful around throw. Oh, I love that strike cut. Shimon was open, but instead opting for the save around to Lily. Back to Bentley Lynch. Chapel, Benter Lynch, the linchpin right now.
Lily, great throw. Benter Lynch takes it. OaF back in the lead.
Wow, and they have been working, fighting for that Wildkitchens not making it easy for them at any point. I did really like to see, and we had a glimpse there. We had a glimpse there for the first time in a while of that quick movement.
Brought it back, especially if you watch the replays. Pierre Lynch makes about 4 or 5 cuts just around the handler to give an option and create some more space.
What a receiver. I don't know. I mean, what a cut there. He was so open. Such an enticing receiver, such an enticing cut to throw to. Good to see that option being taken. Benter Lynch seeing it in to the end zone. Another point.
It's a classic Benter Lynch point as well. Dumping it off and then running straight for the end zone to take an easy catch.
He's been doing that time and time again with Scott on the field. And he's kind of dictating for the rest of the team the way he wants it to be, what he's expecting you to receive, what he's setting up. Yeah, a beautiful point. OaF now coming down on defense. They've been running person defense. It looks like Scott with disc in his hand, talking through the matchups. The team doesn't want any confusion at this point with who is marking who. Again, looking at the skills, looking at the intensity downfield. Gardner, no doubt, you know, a player that they want to put someone fast, someone sneaky on, because he will destroy any offensive options, run it through the defense.
Taking the ball to start us off. Elliot Mance now, back across to Clark.
Clark looking middle, double cut, bit of confusion. Gardner cleans it up as we knew he would.
Calm and composed under pressure there.
Smith finding Clark up line. And he was in the power position there. I think he wanted a huck, but the downfield was a bit stagnant.
Cooper now. Nice fake and then back across over to Brandon Smith.
Finding Clark. Inside fake.
Buckenberg here. Smith 1-2ing it down the field a little bit.
Clark.
Sam Cooper creating an option. Back to Clark.
And we can hear the echoes from the sideline. Again, OaF calling the home or away forces for the mark, making it really difficult when you're downfield trying to continue these passes.
A little bit of trickery by Buckenberg. Doesn't come off.
It's really difficult. You set up your cuts. You think it's on the open side. You work to get open just to find out that it's actually the break side. The mark is there and the handler can't get it to you. That defensive pressure resulting in a turn. Shimon with a disc now. Whitaker making an ankle-breaking cut. Now he's streaking deep. The disc goes up. Who can get there? Disc fading to the away side. And Whitaker's speed bringing him into the end zone for another point for OaF.
I can't believe this momentum has shifted the way it has in the last 9 points. We went from a 5-0 run to a 4-0 run.
I can't believe it either. You have to see it, though. This team, OaF, you know, they had their heads down. They were trying to piece it together. It's proof that this team, in their own mind, can bring it back with that energy, that the teamwork that we've been seeing. With that speed, Whitaker, once again, what a chase, bringing that down.
There's one thing we're aware of, it's that Wildkitchens can switch momentum heavily if things start working well for them. They haven't been making a lot of mistakes, and they've now got the win from this offensive point.
We've got Benter Lynch with the disc. He'll be hucking it downfield. And the classic strong defensive lineup from OaF. They'll need to keep the pressure on in this pressure cooker of the match against Wildkitchens. Wildkitchens in the meantime indicating they're ready. Hands up, running down for the pull. Clark and Mance running the handler sets.
A whopping bit of pressure by Rodriguez.
And the huck goes up right off the bat, looking to Peter Hoban, who's claiming that space. How easy. Making it look easy.
That's momentum killer right there.
Clark just here showing that anyone can walk on the field. and launch a huck like that. I'll give you a hint, not just anyone can. He's trained to do that, the experience, the skill. And Hoban, meanwhile, claiming that space with his body, just looking as if it's as easy as just, you know, seeing it into your hand, flipping a fried egg in the pan.
Props to Thomas Chappell for making it a great contest. Probably went up just about a second too soon, but he got there and he made it difficult for Hoban all the way.
And I love to see the different tempo of these points. So OaF has been working really hard. We've seen a lot of, like length to the points, a few turnovers. We've seen some really long points from both teams, a lot of different possessions. But you love to see something quick and dirty. Actually, that was actually pretty quick and clean like that. From Clark to Hoban, showing that they're capable of seeing a cut open up, launching it in the right direction, just cleaning up and adding one more to the score, but it doesn't have to be a battle. And that was a battle, but making it look just easy.
Harrison Free, Shimon, and Eastill.
Wildkitchens down in their zone. That's junk person defense on the handlers. And players marking space in the downfield.
Into Lynch and Scott, creating great options through the center there. Harrison Free now on the flank.
Beautiful swinging passes. They're just finding the open player. It seems they consistently, they've got the open handler. One thing I want to see now, though, is I want to see the stack a little bit closer. I think this is the zone to shut OaF down. The players seem a little bit deep. They're so used to cutting out of the vertical stack. Benter Lynch.
Harrison Free. Down the line, what a take.
Safe. The stack, they seem a bit tentative though. The handlers are having to put in a lot of work. This zone is leaving handlers free for the swing, which is great, but at the same time, they're putting in a lot of energy, putting in a lot of work, and the marking of the space downfield is really slowing down those downfield cuts. They're so far away, it's difficult for when the disc does break out of the handler space for continuations to happen. And no doubt the response is that they're setting up deep looks. They're waiting for deep looks to happen. I think the handlers need a bit more support, though. We're not, they're not trying to huck every time. We've seen quite a few hucks as turnovers. They're trying to be a bit more conservative. So I would like to see that stack coming in a little bit closer, a few more popping under options, splitting that defensive player in the middle, the mid-mid, to provide maybe 2 undercuts. Is what I'd like to see from OaF. It's a really intelligent defense that Wildkitchens continues to throw, because again, it is slowing down the offense. That point, of course, proving wrong everything I've said, because they do convert in the end zone for 1 more point on the board. OaF now on defense.
Shout out to Jack Payne and Harrison Free for that connection down the flank there, and really set everything up. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that this whole team is really a highlight reel. Benter Lynch with the pull. Clark.
Buckenberg
looking. Finding Clark. It's in space. Clark gets there easily to Hoban. And what a good matchup. Whitaker with Hoban. 2 players with the wheels for legs.
Looks like that held up in the breeze just a bit.
Inside out flick.
Buckenberg.
He is in position, and Benter Lynch was fighting to get there. But again, consistently, one thing that I've seen, from Hoban, we've seen from McKevitt, and from Buckenberg as well now, the positioning in the end zone. You don't have to jump high. You don't have to be taking to the skies on patrol if you're boxing the other player out, if your body is positioned, and that's what Buckenberg did. He saw the disc the entire way, followed it with his body, and Benter Lynch fighting for control, fighting for position, but couldn't get there. Buckenberg with the points. Well read.
So we take a look once again. Buckenberg getting everything right. Tiny little jump and a beautiful celebration right to the head.
Head but the disc. That brings this close game, this nail-biting game, to 12-13. Now I have to say, folks, if you're watching this, I want to shout out a bit of health and safety. You've You've paid for the seats. Please use all of it. Don't sit at the edge. Don't fall off. Sit back. We don't want anyone falling off seats despite this nail-biter of a game. Sun is coming out. Breeze is dying down. For the last few points of this game, who will be taking home the gold?
Wildkitchens launches off. They're down 12-13.
And as games are finishing up, we're seeing more and more fans coming to watch the Div 2 Opens final. Scott, lefty backhand, love to see it to an open Benter Lynch. You don't want to be leaving a player like that open. McKevitt makes a call, uncontested. Looks like he's nodding along there. Great to see that spirit. Rory Liston back to Scott, finding Eastel.
Colin Shimenhout here on the flank.
Engaging the top. What strong handler defense again from Cooper. Some contact there. I'm saying strong handler defense. It looks like he's getting a bit too physical though. And again, it's all good if the offensive player is on the same page. Ultimate Frisbee, again, similar to netball, similar to football, soccer, football, as a non-contact sport. Oftentimes, however, there is buddying up and there is contact up to the players on the field to determine if that is pushing it, if it's a bit too much or not. Looks like foul, no contest. Cooper agreeing that there was a bit too much contact and knowing now that you know, he should lighten up a little bit on that pressure, on that physical pressure. Nice spirit from both sides.
Benton Lynch now, great take, back to Scott. Using that 1-2 they've worked so well throughout this game.
With the wind at their backs, he's faking that deep look, he's faking the hawk, he wants it. We see Peter Hoban patrolling that deep space.
Oh, Rory Liston trying to drop the disc into a bit of breeze. Buckenberg annoyed with himself after that. Made a great defensive play. Just couldn't convert.
Nice swing.
Liston now looking downfield.
Finding Eastel.
Take by Graydon Scott. Back to Eastel. This two-handler set that's worked so well for them in the past.
Benter Lynch, we've seen him so active in the open space. Oh, I wish he would have thrown that to Liston. Nonetheless, great movement between Eastel and Scott. High release backhand.
Chappell, I believe.
Indeed. Finding Eastel again. Nice movement, it's a laser to the open side of the field. Great catch. Free is once again free in the end zone.
Free by name, free by nature. 14-12 to OaF. 1 point away.
What an exciting matchup. As Richard just mentioned, this is a game to 15. So we have OaF starting out on defense. If they can generate the turnover and put the disc in the end zone, complete that catch, the gold medal is theirs. They know it. However, it's still anyone's game. Wildcats, we've seen the energy, the intensity. Players like Gardner, McKevitt, Clark, Smith, Hoban, just bringing that same firing energy on the field and showing that, you know, they've gone for a run of points and nothing is safe. The game is not over until they say it is.
This game, if anything, has been a game of runs and a game of momentum.
It has been. Yeah, interestingly, teams not trading point for point, as you often see, but instead giving a few, taking a few, giving a few, taking a few.
If Wildkitchens can get a point on the board, they can easily run away.
I think they can. We'll see what OaF has to offer.
Scott launching it down, upwind.
Inside out. Great work keeping that pull in bounds. Again, that's difficult with the wind at the moment. Mance with the disc. Clark. McKevitt taking to the skies, can't reel it in.
Not happy with himself.
An unfortunate bobble. Shimon collecting himself, walking over to pick up the disc, marked by Mance. We see Scott doing that same gesture as we saw earlier with Ogard, pushing down, indicating, slow things down, this is our game. We play to our pressure, we play to our speed, the disc goes up, and the game is OaF's. Green players streak on the field. What a catch by Chappell to clean that up. And I love that hug in the middle between Gardner and Yo.
Dunedin finally winning a piece of silverware at the Ultimate Championships, and they played their hearts out today.
Just wow.
Commiserations to Wildkitchens. They also put in a phenomenal day's effort.
That was a phenomenal game.
Wow, I'm tired. We have to call another game after this.
I'm excited to do so. Stick with us, folks. This weekend is far from over, even though the Div 2 men's final has concluded. What a game it was. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more games if you want to see more Ultimate. In the meantime, my name is Kelsey Bielik.
And I'm Richard Harris.
Matewa.